Hi, my name is Monterastelli, and the video you are about to watch is a recording from the 24 Hours of Tapping, which is an event that is held annually to support the Peaceful Heart Network. If you appreciate or learn anything from this video, the easiest way for you to say thank you is to support the work of the Peaceful Heart Network, who has worked with over 300,000 migrants, immigrants, prisoners, folks in disaster areas by bringing tapping to them. As you watch the video, across the bottom, you will see a link where you can support their amazing work. And I hope you enjoy this conversation. Viramontez is a Master Level EFT Trainer and author who teaches the next generation of practitioners how to blend trauma-informed tapping with inner child work and EMDR-based therapies. Please welcome to our virtual stage, my friend Jackie. The places that I've been starting throughout this entire event, just because, I find it really useful, is, this is a topic that you chose. And so I'm always fascinated why people are excited about the topics that they want to tap on or talk about, because oftentimes we make requests. It's not even like, what are you known for? What are you excited about? So why is this something that is like at the front of your heart, mind, soul, spirit at this particular moment in your journey as an individual, but also your journey as a practitioner and a teacher?
Any day I could answer differently. Today, being a mom of two, for a while there, I thought I'd never have kids, I feel like I'm immersed in this postpartum, even though my daughter's 18 months or 16 months, in this postpartum world of where we're trained almost as moms that if something's going wrong, it's our fault. Oh, if I'm struggling with depression, it's my fault. If I didn't get pregnant, I'm doing something wrong. We're taught that if we haven't achieved the healing, the manifestation that we want, it means we must be the outlier, that for some reason this proven protocol doesn't work. And I'm just such a believer, from working with hundreds of people, from working on hundreds of my own problems, that it's never this problem that we need to treat like an issue. It's a part of us that's so trying to protect us. So I thought I couldn't get pregnant for 5 years. I tried. And it was a part of me that was like, I don't feel safe with you having a baby if you could lose them. And that's a whole part of my story.
Right.
Or even, so I'm just such a believer that we have so much, we were just talking about this, so much overdoing, like I must be the fixer, that it makes us blame ourselves. And I really think healing is about not blaming, but looking at how these parts we think are problems are actually these really protective parts of us. And if we get to know them and befriend them, instead of treating them like enemies, they'll actually work with us to get to where we want to go, have the peace, have the fertility, have the breakthrough. And that's why I'm really passionate about it, in this culture of like, it's your fault, strive more. I hate that part of the healing journey.
And like, idea-wise, it's something that's super easy for me to get on board. 17 years ago, when I started my podcast, I think episode number 9 was entitled "Make Your Issues Your Allies."
Yeah.
And I just like, one of the things that I'm often thinking about when I'm thinking about my parts, my internal stories, the things that I'm carrying, is kind-hearted incompetence.
Yes.
That it's these parts that are rooted in safety and wanting what is best for us. They just are operating from how they understand the world, which may or may not be an accurate representation. And I think the other part that's really frustrating is oftentimes intellectually, consciously, how I understand the world is different than subconsciously how I understand the world.
Yes.
And so then consciously I get really frustrated because my subconscious mind is not acting out of my conscious mind's understanding of things. It's operating out of its own understanding of what is going on.
Yes. If you had gone to 2018, Jackie, and been like, this part of you that's not getting pregnant, 5 years in is your ally, not your enemy, I would have been like, no, all of me wants this. No. But when I did the work to say, does all of me want this? Does all of me feel safe having a son? Does all of me to feel brave enough to handle the risk or loss at stake of having a son? I would have felt the immediate no from my body, who saw my mom lose her son. I saw my brother die, and consciously I knew that. Like if I was in a talk therapy, they'd say, "Oh, is any part of you afraid of having children?" And I'm done enough work to know, well, yeah, I've watched a mother lose her child, so I'm sure that's a factor. But it's until I reckon with my body and go, I might know I'm safe. I might know I'm not my mother's story, but does my body know that? And I have to go and like do the deep, scary work of
Yeah.
going and finding that little girl and going, I can't promise you your son's going to be okay. Just like your mom couldn't promise her younger self that her kids are going to be okay, but you're not going to be alone there. And I think that's the work is there's that child psychologist and she's
Yeah.
Dr. Becky.
Yeah.
We're not afraid of our big feelings. We're not afraid of the hard things. We're afraid of being alone in it. And that's the work. Like 2018 Jackie would have been like, hell no, I want to get pregnant. But it's like, but is a part of you so afraid of that? And are you willing to tell them you will never abandon them? As you go towards what you want, are you going to abandon what they need in order to feel safe? And that's the difference. That's what makes me passionate about
Yeah.
that feeling.
And I love the fact that like you're talking, because we now live in a time, that we live in a time of therapeutic language, that it is now the lingua franca, that like we're used to talking in this way. And so we're like trained to think in terms of initial sensitizing events and what is the story that I'm carrying with me and how did my family talk about money and that sort of stuff. And it is good for us to be thinking in those terms, but what you're getting into is that is an intellectualized approach. And one of the things, and I'm sure you like naturally have this skill, this is a skill I had to develop, is when I'm working with a client, I now can recognize the thinking face where I'm asking them, and we're even structurally doing exactly what you're saying. Like, I want to tune into the body and find this embodied thing, and they start embodied, and then I ask a follow-up question, and you can literally, yep, that's exactly, you can see them like go right back up there, and it's like, no, stop thinking, ask the physical sensation, tune back into the body. And I think that's really key inside of that is one, recognizing that's happened, but two, recognizing that it's our default to intellectualize to solve the problem. Because I wouldn't sit down to tap unless I wasn't trying to solve a problem. Like there's a reason for this. So my problem solving brain engages. And even when I get out of my own way enough to go into my body, I can remember years and years ago, when I was in college, I took a class in Buddhism. And the professor talked about this idea that like in Buddhism, the way that you get insight is you let go. And so you release, insight shows up. And the moment insight shows up, what do? You immediately emotionally attach to that particular insight. Like we did everything correctly to get insight, and then we fall back into the old pattern. When we're tapping, we do the exact same thing. We're doing everything right, and I'm listening to my body, and I get a new piece of information. We go back right into that particular place.
I'm laughing because I'm in the middle of writing the chapter of my book that's about this, that we don't need to know more. Yeah. We don't need to know more. We don't need to intellectualize more. We need to feel more. And it's been the chapter that I have rewritten, reanalyzed, reconsidered what data to put. Like I've got 40 dump tabs. I'm like, wow. The irony that the chapter on feel more, think less, is the one I'm overthinking. There's an obsession with it. And it's control. I mean, it's control. We want to control it and know it. And our body knows so much more. I mean, Gabor Mate, who's like, I feel like the inspiration of this title of When the Body Says No, he says something like, the wisdom of the body is more advanced than like the most learned scholar. It's like, but it's so hard to embody that. We want to think about it. And that, I'm not sure why we're so obsessed. We don't need to know. We just need to practice tapping into the body.
And I think, I actually think there's a reason why that, like some cases, why we do want to know, because there's a part of us that believes if I know why I am the way that I am, not only can I solve the problem, but I can now prevent it in the future.
Yes.
And so often, like I see my clients getting stuck because they are such skilled tappers. Like, you got to be a specific problem. We need to know what the initial sensitizing event. So and there's this obsession with knowing why, because there is a belief that if I know why, it's easier to clear and it's not going to happen again, which is true occasionally. but it's not an absolute. And the moment we like make that the only way we operate, all of a sudden we start missing all of this really valuable information. And I don't even know if it's like my brain is dumber than my body, but it's more of an issue of like priority stack. Like a priority stack is the order that we look at things. Like when I'm working with a client, my priority stack is this safe? Is this ethical? You know, yeah. Is this ethical? And then is this useful? And I don't get a chance to ask the question about the approach I'm using with a client unless I know it is safe, unless I feel it is ethical, then we can do it. You know, if we were to take Maslow's hierarchy of needs and turn it upside down, all of a sudden we have this priority stack. And intellectually, we're at that, we'll turn it back right up, but we're at that tippy point of it because it's up here at the front of our brain. And so we're like, well, up here at the front of my brain, it's perfect. I'm trying to do all of this stuff, but the priority of safety is overcoming that.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It's like an inverse pyramid of like, if some part of me doesn't feel safe, that physiological on Maslow's is flipped. It doesn't matter what we know. And then if we don't feel safe or loved, if we do it, and then if we don't feel like we're going to be accepted or understood, I'm picturing.
Yeah. Well, and the way I like to picture it is I take Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I turn it on a 45-degree angle, and I just lay it over the biology of the brain. Because we think from the unconscious mind forward. And if you look at that priority stack, it's like literally just going boop, 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 boop. Yeah. And then we get frustrated up here when back here is actually doing the thing that's keeping us safe.
Yeah. And most of the people watching this know that like what I know doesn't determine my behavior. You know, I know to not grab for I'm a cocoa addict, my third cup, but I want to. It's like the emotional side. I know not to snap at my husband, but then when he says that thing and it's that emotional brain is what's driving it. And in that emotional brain, I always tell clients is that all those memories, the memories where it worked once, like you talked about, I mean, I just love that term. I've never heard that priority stack, but you're going to prioritize what worked and what kept you safe over what maybe your higher self thinks is going to help you grow.
Yeah.
So if one time you were hypervigilant and it saved you, it doesn't matter if you said, I'm going to be patient and trust, you're going to be hypervigilant and controlling. Yeah. If one time defending yourself and having a wall over your heart worked and protected you from feeling like a fool for trusting, then every time you're like, I'm going to trust, I'm going to surrender, you're going to be like, no. You know, when they say that thing that triggers that old past memory that's right there front and center in your brain, you're going to go, no, guard wall on my heart, because that worked one time. When I read that, I was like, one time. You know, it's like the brain gives 80% more attention to the negative. If one time you trusted and you were betrayed, you're like, I'm not going to do that again. Even if there was 1,000 times where when you trusted, it worked out. If you got your hopes up, if I got my hopes up one time from that pregnancy test or from that protocol, it's like, nope, nope. Because that one time getting my hopes up led to more disappointment than I could ever know. So it's like, we have to go back, like take the teleporter back to that one time that's determining all the times, since trauma makes us generalize, and go, okay, this was true one time they betrayed you, one time getting your hopes up led to feeling like a fool, one time putting yourself out there led to rejection. But that was true then. It doesn't mean it's true now. It's like reprogramming that generalization. Yeah. So
and what we were talking about there, that 8%, you know, it's the negativity bias. Like our subconscious mind is biased towards, because that's how we keep safe. You know, in New York City real estate parlance, I live in a 6-story walk up, which basically means I live on the 6th floor and there's no elevator, and I did the math. I've been here 13, 14 years. I've walked up over 1 million steps since I've lived in this building. And I
no
do
big couches, no big couches.
Or you hire people, you get help. But one of the things that happens is, in the time that I've lived here and the thousands of times I've walked up and down these stairs, I have tripped 3 times. And I can tell you in great detail where I was in the building, who else was there, and the one time when the jug of milk exploded, the shape of the milk on the tile that I had to clean up. And today I walked up and down those stairs multiple times. I have no recollection of that, because it's not useful. Like the subconscious mind goes, worked out, don't need to remember that I don't need to remember. And so what we're doing is we're clinging to these times where we were injured that one time because that
Mhm.
pain is so great. It wants to keep us safe. And so it's over functioning,
Yes.
it's that kind-hearted incompetence. It happens once, therefore it will always
Mhm.
happen. Therefore we need to be on guard in that way.
Mhm. I just love Richard Schwartz, I mean, Carl Jung made parts work, but I feel like Richard Schwartz really made it this in the vernacular, like with these parts of cells. And he's like, they're always trying to help. And
Mhm.
until we go, oh, thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. It's not helping now.
Yeah.
So how can we move forward where all your skill, all your love for me, all your protection of me does help? I feel like I like it as a job role. I forget who first taught me that or where that concept entered my mind, but if there's that protector part, that part that's so hyper vigilant and controlling, it's like, thank you, but no thank you. How about you're super controlling when it comes to controlling the way I pick up my evidence journal and collect evidence of the ideal future I'm creating, like I'm going to give you a new job role. We are upgrading to a better company. You have the same job role, but you're going to apply all that gifting and that skill to something that actually serves me. Oh, you don't like getting your hopes up? All right. You don't like putting your faith in something? Okay, don't put your faith in that worst case scenario anymore. I want you to put your faith in this. It's like just redirecting it. And it takes that training, that mental training, which can be done. I
So
just hate them. Yeah.
so much so, the first thing I do every single morning is I have a staff meeting. Like what you're talking about right there, like
With your
literally is
internal staff meeting?
and the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I take a deep breath and I get
Mhm.
myself grounded and I'm like, okay, team, how do I need everybody on and I like think of this as a factory and I am the CEO. And that analogy I
Mhm.
leverage every day, multiple times a day. And the reason why I do it is like it gives me vocabulary when I'm trying to do the transformation.
Yes.
It's really hard for me to sit and tap when I'm not doing something. Like, what do I
Yeah.
tune into? What's going on? But if I go, okay, I recognize the fact there's a part of me that's trying to keep me safe and it's over functioning. Like
Mhm.
all of it, and the words aren't magic. Like they're not a magic spell, but they help us. The conversation we had with David Feinstein, we talked about like the mechanism of that, but it's
Mhm.
so like now that I know, and like the biggest resistance I found with my students to tapping is they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And we don't want to feel dumb. Like this already feels silly enough as it is. Now I don't know what to say. I'm sitting in my room by myself out loud saying phrases, and now I don't know what to say. And I get disengaged. And by having a framework to talk like you're talking about, all of a sudden I know what to say. Because
Yeah.
I know how to give a team member instruction. I know how
Yeah.
to turn to a family member who is showing up in kind-hearted incompetence and gently re-guide that person so it's not creating cascades of all the
Mm.
negative stuff that comes from that. When we're using that model, all of a sudden we know how to talk when we're tapping.
Yes. And what I love, like if it comes down to tangibles, like how do I even implement this? How do I start to consider that if I want something and I'm tapping towards a goal, there's a part of
Yeah.
me that must not want it. Where do I start? It can literally start by, I love that. I always picture like a boat. I grew up sailing. It's like at the
Mhm.
front of the boat's you, like I'm trying to go here. But
Yeah.
then there's these other parts, like I literally draw it like a little boat shape. There's a part that's afraid of failing, of drowning, of, actually write the tangible, the part that's afraid of losing, afraid of the risk, afraid of the rejection, afraid that I'll be made a fool, and just write it. But so it's not totally negative. Then the second line, and you can tap on that. Part of me really wants this, but part of me is afraid. I'm willing to honor and respect that part of me. And just feeling
Yeah.
considered. I mean, having a husband, having a 4-year-old, I know that having myself,
Yeah.
I know that when we feel considered, sometimes that's the medicine. If I just
Yeah.
look at my son and go, "Oh my gosh, your sister stole your toy." He doesn't need a solution. He doesn't need to fix. He just needs me to not look at him and go, "It's fine. You have a million other toys," versus,
Right.
"Oh my gosh, you took your toy. I'd be so upset too." And he goes, "It's okay. I have other toys." And then he has the solution. So it's just saying, part of me wants this, but part of me is afraid someone will think I'm an idiot for tapping on my face on this video. Part of me really wants to publish this book, but part of me is afraid of what my sister will think because of that story I added in there. I'm willing to honor, consider, and respect that part of me today. You might just notice your boat is sailing full steam ahead more easily than yesterday, where you felt like it was like, if anyone grew up sailing, it's like the wind's not at your back. And we've all had days where the wind's at our back and the wind is like, I'm tacking, I'm about to capsize. Those parts are all there, but if they feel considered and we consider them, we learn how to sail with them. And then the second, so everyone can do that. Like, part of me wants this, but part of me, and some days you might notice one really loud part. Just so afraid that it'll be a waste of time. I'll spend all day on it. It's a waste of time. Some days it'll be really deep, like when I had my revelation about my son and why I wasn't getting pregnant. I'm willing to honor and respect and consider this part of me.
And before you go into the second part, I want to grab a little piece of that inside of there.
Yeah.
One of the ways I like to think about this is fully articulated emotions are short-lived. And one time I was working with a client who's really angry about something. And I said, great, what I want you to tap on is I'm really angry about this. And I'm really angry about this. And I'm really angry about this. And she goes, and then what do I do? I said, nothing. Like, the tapping wasn't about providing a reframe. The tapping wasn't about thinking in a new way. The tapping was just hearing the emotion. Now, if a reframe needs to come up, it will bubble up as you do that. Like your son going, oh, I got lots of toys. It's not that big of a deal. But like, the first step sometimes might be the process. It might just honor and hear the emotion. And that's enough. And just give yourself permission to say all that out loud. So sorry for interrupting. So you had a second step.
No, I love it. And it's the whole thing, the very simple thing we all know, which is like, if you don't feel heard, you're going to scream louder. If I'm ignoring you, no, it's fine. I'm not afraid. Oh, parts of me want it. It's going to scream louder. We know this. It could crop up as huge physical ramifications and manifestations until we just listen. So just taking that moment every time is not just some emotional practice. Like, it could be saving us getting that migraine that wipes us out so that we're forced to listen. It could save us from, I don't need to say the ramifications. And then I learned once, there's a book and I always forget what it is. But it's someone who I just feel like this helps people who are like, no, I need to understand. Emotions only last like 120 seconds. There's a study of some guy, it wasn't Joe Dispenza, but someone like that, where they lost all feeling in their body. They could hear the nurses saying they might never access their body again. They couldn't even think. Like, they could hear the words, but they couldn't analyze. Like, they lost that part of their brain. And they could see the clock and see the clock ticking, but they couldn't make any meaning or fear around that. It was like whatever those brain regions were turned off. So they'd feel a bubble of fear in their spine, like the base of their spine. And they would literally feel it travel up, and they'd watch the clock. And after it hit like the second round, it just evaporate, because they couldn't think about it, get afraid about it, make meaning of it, because those brain centers were turned off. It just evaporated. And they woke up from that and then studied it, since they were in the medical field. Emotions, when you don't make meaning of them, only have a 120-second lifespan. So it's like, if we just consider them instead of attaching, fearing, judging, they disappear. That you said it eloquently, but it's the same concept. It's like, just consider them, don't attach. But the second part was, once you value them, once you consider them, and they're like, it's fine, I've got my own toys. It is nice so that they don't recrop up, or so that we can give them that new job role, to just look at, they're cropping up because they value. So my son is mad. I can acknowledge him and it goes away, but maybe he values being able to choose. He values being able to choose. He values having power and control. What does that part of you value? So, part of me is wanting to control the bad thing happening because I value safety. And usually it falls in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs that you talked about. So if everyone right now wrote down all the things that have stopped them or blocked them or triggered them along the way from where you are to where you want to be, like procrastination, resistance, people pleasing, boundary pushback, and then you wrote, what what does this part need? What do they need? Oh, they need acceptance. They need safety. You'll notice it falls on one of Maslow's, you know. A lot of mine have to do with the love and belonging. Like, I'm not running around being like, it's not safe. My kids aren't safe. It's like, ooh, they'll think I'm a bad mom. Like, a lot of it has to do with the acceptance because they value love and acceptance. So if you're more of a strengths-based practitioner, or you like to go more into that positive tapping, not just negative, I like to make it meaningful by, part of me really wants this, but part of me is afraid, because they value love and acceptance. Part of me really wants this, but part of me is so afraid that I won't be able to make ends meet if I take the leap and go for my business, because part of me really values safety and control. Cool. Part of me really wants, to lose the weight, but I'm afraid people will think I'm into myself, because I value being understood. I value belonging and connection. So every need is rooted in a beautiful value. And it just cues up a nice ending of a session, which is, because I value this, I choose. Hey, because you value acceptance, what's another adult empowered way to do it instead of self-sabotaging? Does that make sense? So I consider my needs, but then I consider what values under there so that I can make choices aligned to my values. So it's like, then we're really sailing. Then I'm like, hey guys, I'm not just considering you. I'm like, what do you value? Oh, you value some fun. Okay, we'll make this fit. Well, you value this. Okay, now I really have the wind at my back towards my goal, because I'm considering what my family, my internal family, what my crew is valuing. Based healing is like the way forward.
And so with that sense of value-based healing, how then do you get that information? Because conceptually, intellectually, like, we have a whole bunch of people who are nodding along in this particular conversation. And that is a great idea, practically, tangibly. Like, what does that look like when you are, at the beginning of the day or end of your day, you're doing some work on your internal stuff, not teachy mode, not coachy mode, not practitioner mode, but like, how do we find that on our own as we're engaging with that?
Oh, I love that. Like, a practice I have is almost in the morning. I'll do a morning and night, but in the morning, I'll tune into what might hold me back in the day. So I kind of tune into, like, what's that looming anxiety? You could even look at your to-do list. And instead of thinking about it or trying to tap in mantras, you just kind of put your hand there, or put your attention there, and take your tapping, take your breath there. Like, I'm feeling a little nervous about this interview, like, my kids are in the house, they're gonna be loud, the Wi-Fi is gonna go down. And you just, your head starts to get into it. Why? Why do I have this tension about this item on my to-do list? Take the elevator down, 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 out of that head who's telling you why you're feeling that way. And instead, just be with it in your body. And take your tapping and attention there, like, oh, this pressure in my belly. Oh, this tension, this grip in my belly. And just be with the feeling. Just be with the feeling. And then the only way you use your brain, instead of like, why is this there, is, hey, what do you need? What do you need? And you might not hear an answer at first, but the more you do this, you'll build trust with your body, and it'll start talking to you. If I always yell at my 3-year-old, he's not going to tell me what do you need. He's going to just think he's going to be waiting for me to correct him. But eventually, if every time I go, hey, buddy, what do you need? Why are you yelling at sister? Eventually, he'll trust me and go, she took my toy. What do you need? I want my toy back. So don't be worried about silence. So to-do list, notice which one gives you a little pang of dread, a pang of resistance, a pang of fear. Don't care about all the meanings your head's making. Drop that elevator down, feel it in your body. What do you need? And usually it's that on that Maslow's hierarchy, like, I just need to take a breath. I need to go easy on myself. I need to know it's going to be okay. Great. What can I choose to do? And that's where you can then use that beautiful brain of yours and say, since I need and value this, since I need and value it going well, since I need and value knowing it's enough, I choose to. I choose to. That's what I would do. That's a morning practice I have is to-do list tapping. I just tap on any feeling in my
Yep.
body. And then I go, what do I need? What do I value? Okay, because I value that, I choose to. And then it sets me up of like, I choose to play music while I have it because I want to have fun. I choose to remind myself of the mantra before I go to. I choose to ask for some support or research assistance because I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need support. So whatever you need and value, you can make an informed adult decision and add that to your to-do list. So that's what I would say. Is that practical enough?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, like I do very similar process. The question I ask, what are you afraid of? Like just as another way of what do you need? What are you afraid of? Follow-up question oftentimes, what proof do you have that that's a possibility or a probability? Just like getting, but the other thing that I really love inside of that, like the biggest difference of me as a tapper from me 5 years ago is the speed that I go. I go so much slower. I just so like the analogy that I'm constantly using with my students is I am not trying to find the problem in the basement. I'm just trying to get in the front door. And so the first round of tapping isn't even getting in the front door. The first round of tapping is going, am I going in the door? Am I going in the window? Am I coming down the chimney? Am I Kool-Aid Manning through the wall? All I'm trying to do is just figure out where I want to enter or where I have an entry. Then I'm just entering, and then I see what's in front of me, and then I see what's in front of me, and then I see what's in front of me. And I find that when, the slower I go, the further I go.
Yeah.
The slower I go, I am not getting some cotton candy sugar high. I'm growing roots. And in a short-term way, it feels less, here's an intellectual word here, productive in my tapping.
Yes.
But in a long-term embodied way, it's about, because like the other thing that I think is really valuable in this conversation that we're having is the story, the rule that is showing up that is getting in the way. It's not isolated. It's going to come up again, and it's going to come up again, and it's going to come up again, and it's going to come up again. And for me, the slower I go, where I see what it needs, I see what it's worried about, then I'm not just like sometimes in the middle of my day, it's 3:15 in the afternoon, I'm having some resistance doing some task. The only goal of my tapping is to diminish the resistance enough for me to take the task. It's not even to diminish the resistance and make it go away. I can't act at an 8 on a SUD scale. I can't act on a 5. The tapping I'm doing right now is just to get it to a 5 so I can get it done with.
Yes.
But that early morning, that evening, that for me personally, I have some time set aside Tuesday after work and Saturday morning where I'm doing like 25 to 45 minutes of deep work, not just emotional first aid, but I'm going after the stuff. When I'm there going really, really slowly and really, really gently, what I'm doing is I'm actually rewriting the story. I'm giving it new information. I'm training the team member, where sometimes like in the middle of the day, and this is true, sometimes in the middle of the day, it's just easier to go, just give it back to me for one of my staff, one of my team. I'm going to do it. And that's no shot on them. It's I've done a bad job setting them up for success.
It's like, I hear you. Can we schedule a meeting for Saturday? Oh, I hear your complaint. Can we meet Saturday? And then they go, cool. I'll go keep doing what I'm doing because I know there's a meeting on the book Saturday, and I bet that saves you a ton with them just knowing that consistency versus like, let's explode on him and have a mutiny for him to meet with us.
Yeah. And so just like giving ourselves, it's so amazing and how powerful just like slowing down as we're engaging with this process is. Because the other analogy I've been using a lot as I've kind of been engaging with all of this stuff is like I'm neurologically atypical. Like I think in a very, very particular way. And so the first recognition that I'm working from is this is the way the software works. Okay. So if this is the way the software works, it doesn't do me any good to complain that the software doesn't work another way. How do I get the most out of the software? And then the other piece is, how can I upgrade, augment, transform the software so it's easier the next time I sit down to do it? Video software works a very, very particular way. Great. These are the parameters we have. What are things that I can do in the future so the next time I'm doing it, it's easier? Those are two different problems I'm trying to solve. And so when we're looking at the stories, if we're going slower, I'm getting a chance to do better analysis of what its needs are. I'm getting a chance to hear more clearly what's afraid of. I'm getting a chance to just go, oh, I'm sorry, that really sucks that there's a part of me that thinks that way. And it's not just like, here's the problem, let's go. Like, you know, I remember years and years ago, my brother was getting a master's and he had to take a conflict mediation class as part of his master's. And we were talking about it. And he was just like, I just want to go, you're stupid. 2 hours from now, this is where we're going to be. Can we just get there? But he also recognized the process wouldn't work if he just did that. Like the process had to be as long as the process was going to be, because it wasn't about the decision. It was about the emotional buy-in of both parties about the decision. Like then it was.
I was just going to say with that quote, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I've never applied that until right now to our internal parts. Like, if you want to go fast, go alone. You'll get it done. But will it take you the distance? Will it take you to that potential you want? And it won't. The slowness is so key. I feel like we're all like tap like this. Even in my trainings, when people come to my trainings, they're like, you tap really differently. I'm like, this is somatic soothing. So if we're bruising ourselves and spiraling, we're only reinforcing all those patterns we're here to break. It's like one breath per point. So I think that's an invitation to everyone. Like, notice, are you taking a full breath or a shallow breath? And it's not a bad thing. It's not a dock. It's like, we're retraining cultures of hypervigilance. Like, we are all here today because we are the ancestors of great survivalists who had high anxiety, and thank goodness, or else they wouldn't have lived long enough to procreate to have us. But now that stress is hurting us and not helping us survive, we need to teach our body, like, maybe stress helped ancient ancestor, but it's hurting us. So slow and steady. And I know that feeling people get of like, but let's get to it. I always have people, but when are we going to get to it? And here's like a reminder to anyone who's like, and I'm a trauma-informed practitioner. Like, that's my specialty, is teaching people trauma. So it's always like, but when will we get to it? When will we do the real work? And what I so agree with what you're saying, Jean, which is this is the real work, because where do we know all our patterns come from? Like, haven't we all read that most 90% of our subconscious is wired by 18 months old? Does an 18-month-old talk? So talking is not reaching the real root. Feeling. My daughter, when she's screaming in her crib, doesn't need me to go, well, honey, this is your nervous system, and this is because you're from a long line of blah, blah, blah. She just needs to be shh, 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 hum. So when we're slowly just feeling all that tension grip, it's like we are holding that infant self who's scared. We're holding and rocking and humming and soothing. And that is the real work. So whether your mind knows what memory you're working on, your body knows. And every time you tune into that grip in the stomach and just go, and I use polyvagal and breath work. So I just do, like, every exhale 8 counts and hum on every exhale. Exhale 8 counts and hum on every exhale. And then when you feel that tension ungrip, or you feel that, your jaw unhinge, you may have just released 12 childhood precognitive memories. You may have just released a womb trauma without your brain ever knowing, because your brain wasn't developed in the womb. You're releasing the body. So we have to trust the wisdom of the body. And I think the more we go slowly, the more we are doing the deep work.
And so as you're in that, so one of the pieces of vocabulary that I got from Ulf and Gunilla from the Peaceful Heart Network when we gathered in Rwanda at the end of January is they said, we're stop using the word trauma informed. We're now using the word trauma competent, because being informed about trauma doesn't mean I'm dealing with it well. Being trauma competent means I'm aware of it and I'm responding to it in a healthy way. And so that's the reason why they use content-free tapping. And what content-free tapping is, tapping without words. To the point now that in the Tapping Mastery Blueprint I teach 5 approaches to tapping. First thing I teach everybody is content-free tapping. And if that is that basic, most, like, they have, I think, 33 tools in their FAST protocol, but the place they start is content-free tapping.
Yes.
And what that does is that immediately puts us into our body and it puts us out of our mind, because I'm not thinking of the phrase, and I'm not thinking of the reframe, and I'm not thinking of the story, because I'm just present to it. And if I just, like, I think, and this is,
so
it's in this phrase, and I started calling it the tapper's dilemma. It's in the phrase, you must be as specific as possible when you're tapping. And what we hear is, I must be specific in order for it to be useful. And that's not what we were taught. We were taught as specific as possible. And sometimes as specific as possible is, that's it. That's as specific as I can get.
Yes.
Like that is a fully embodied, real articulation of what is going on, even if my words and my vocabulary have not caught up to that particular experience yet.
Yes. Yes. I think it should be retaught as, like, as embodied as possible. Like, just be there, as present as possible, how you're really feeling.
Every single one of the lives, I do live streams every Wednesday, and every single one of them, we start with 90 seconds of wordless tapping. It's like, hey, this is what we're doing today. Everybody take a deep breath, and literally a little timer goes up on the screen, and I have a little chime that plays at the end so people can close their eyes. But just for 90 seconds, just like, the other thing is, I do during my day is I do 15, like when I'm working on a project, I do what I call 15-1 tapping, where I work for 15 minutes and then I tap wordlessly for 1 minute. And I literally just have a timer set where it literally just bounces back and forth. It goes off, and I just stop and I tap until it goes off again. And then my hands go back to my keyboard or whatever I'm doing.
Genius. I'm going to steal that.
But again, it's about what you're just talking about here. I just want to put myself back in my body. That's all I want to do. Like, I am a right brain computer scientist, over intellectualized, processy. And so I've learned after 15 minutes, I've left my body. That's just where I am. And so it's like, okay, put myself back in my body, put myself back in my body, put myself back in my body. And that's just the work that I'm doing.
Yes. So good.
Awesome.
I'm stealing that. I need the timer.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Jackie,
the wisdom of the body.
As always, Jackie, it is a delight to have conversations with you. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and your gift with all of us today.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. It's such a good cause.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. As you look at the screen right now, you can see a link to the entire playlist of every single conversation for previous 24 hours of tapping. There are over 120 presentations waiting for you. And please consider supporting the amazing work of the Peaceful Heart Network.